In October last year, as the United States put pressure on the world and Iraq to accept an aggressive UN weapons inspection program, President Bush delivered a speech in Cincinnati. He used a satellite picture of this site to show what he said was the rebuilding of a past nuclear weapons facility, an indication, he said, that Iraq was reconstituting its nuclear weapons program. At the time, Iraqi officials rushed hundreds of journalists to Al Farat to show they had nothing to hide.
See that one? So
it was the same when inspectors visited on their third day of work in Iraq. Journalists were allowed back.
We don't have anything as far as this side is concerned, we don't have anything to hide. Yeah. So.
Inspectors came back several more times to the suspect Al Farat nuclear site. But now, following widespread looting where even the door frames have been taken, the little that is left here does seem to support Iraqi government claims that this site was nothing more than a radio frequency testing and repair facility. Just 12 days before the war, UN nuclear weapons chief Mohammed al-Baradei delivered his verdict on claims Iraq had an ongoing nuclear weapons program.
There is no indication of resumed nuclear activities in those buildings that were identified through the use of satellite imagery as being reconstructed or newly erected since 1998, nor any indication of nuclear-related prohibited activities at any inspected sites.
Al Farat wasn't the only site where the US and British governments alleged Iraq was reconstituting its weapons of mass destruction programs. This site, the Al-Dura Foot and Mouth Disease Institute, was another, once a key hub in Iraq's biological warfare program. Its equipment had been destroyed by UN inspectors in 1996. But so seriously did the returning inspection teams take allegations about this site that they visited it on their second day after returning to work in Iraq. They found 2 mixers missing, but quickly tracked them down. Iraqi officials denied WMD work had been restarted there. Today, plant director Montasar Al-Ani is happy to show journalists how the site was disabled by UN inspectors back in 1996, but still claims he was not aware of a weapons program. Before 1994, what about a biological warfare program before you came here?
I am not responsible for that. Yes, I am here from 94.
Okay. Yes. Despite further visits by inspectors to this and other sites flagged by the US and British, the UN failed to substantiate any restarted WMD programs. Privately, inspectors told reporters they were frustrated by the bad intelligence information the US government provided. The UN weapons chief Hans Blix hinted as much to the UN Security Council.
We must recognize that there are limitations and that misinterpretations can occur.
Since Saddam Hussein's regime collapsed, more has been learned about intelligence gathering in Iraq. Mohammed Mohsin Zubaydi, the self-appointed mayor of Baghdad, now in US custody after Iraqis accused him of receiving funds from looted Baghdad banks, has been revealed by the Iraqi National Congress, which itself has close ties with the Pentagon, to have been one of the INC's top intelligence gathering officials in Iraq.
The problem isn't that the INC was dishonest per se. What it is that they were willing to believe anything bad about Saddam Hussein that could help their cause of regime change. And I think the Pentagon people, particularly the hardliners, suspended their analytical judgments in order to adopt some of these points of view and informations.
US officials, however, believe Iraqi scientists will open up, and leaders in custody may hold vital information.
We are finding now that the capabilities were even more dispersed and disguised than we had thought. The evidence of Saddam Hussein's programs is likely to be spread across many hundreds and even possibly thousands of sites in Iraq. It is going to take us months to find this material, but find it we will.
Hampering those efforts are many false positives or contradictory results from the US military's various WMD teams. A recent case, Beji, north of Baghdad. The first of the 10th Cavalry detected nerve and blister agent in these 55-gallon drums. Another team got the same test results, yet a third, more senior team could not substantiate the earlier results. The failure to find WMD so far raises bigger concerns for former Inspector David Albright.
One of the questions about whether the U.S. government or officials lied is, if the U.S. believed its own story, there were so many weapons of mass destruction, you would expect them to be completely panicked right now because they are not protected and they could go easily missing and get into the hands of terrorists. And yet they're not panicked. So you do have to start to wonder whether the people who believe these stories really were the American people and not the U.S. government.
I want to be clear here today that I'm extraordinarily confident that Iraq had those capabilities.
The question is, will the US and Britain be able to prove it and bolster their international credibility? Or were the Iraqis telling the truth? And did the United States and Britain perhaps fall victim to overly enthusiastic intelligence operatives on the ground? Nick Robertson, CNN, Baghdad.